Another question on my social media was, I have strayed from my relationship and had an affair, but I am cautious and concerned about just being open about it and telling my wife, but I don't like the feeling of it being a secret. And I'm caught in this internal conflict inside. What advice could you give me to deal with it? Well, that does happen. It's quite. I can't say that it's more men than women, though. My observation, the men and women both have these things, these affairs on the side. I'm just going to hit at this from a broader angle first. If you are in a relationship and there are many things mounting up that are unfulfilling, and you're not um, getting what you want in the relationship, first do an inventory on whether or not what you're expecting is a fantasy and unrealistic that no human being is going to provide. If so, get accountable, ground yourself, and stop being amygdala driven into fantasies and get grounded on what a real relationship or a mature relationship offers. There's no such thing as a pleasure without a pain, a happy without a sad, a kind without a cruel, a peace without a war, a pleasure without a pain, a support without a challenge, um, a generous without a stingy. There's always two sides to the coin, and our own hedonic adaptation and treadmill and our own paradoxes of hedonism will automatically force us to face the pleasures and pains over time. But if we aren't mature enough to see that you're going to get both of those in a relationship, and that's what true love really is, the pleasure and the pains, and you keep holding this idea, I want a pleasure without a pain, I want this passionate frenzy of somebody wanting me all the time or whatever, then that immaturity needs to be addressed and ground yourself, or otherwise you're just going to keep going from one relationship to the other until you finally wake up and realize that there's pain in that pleasure seeking. The Buddha says the desire for that which is unobtainable and the desire to avoid that which is unavoidable is the source of human suffering. So if that's the case, address it and confront it and speak about it to your spouse before you stray and say, I think that I'm having these unrealistic expectations on you to be a certain way, and I'm unfulfilled as a result of that, because depression is a comparison of my current reality to fantasies I'm addicted to, and I'm not fulfilled, and I'm expecting you to change to fulfill me when sometimes I just have unrealistic expectations. Ground yourself and get real, if that's the case. And get some objective people around you to help you see that if that's not easily seen. But if it is something that's not unreasonable, the expectation, find out what the values are of their spouse, because people want to fulfill their highest values. If you help them fulfill their highest values, they're more receptive to you. They give you more latitude and flexibility, and they're more resilient. They're more fulfilled. They're more likely to engage in appreciation of you. And you may not have to do anything in a relationship to stray. But also, if you end up having unfulfillment and then you feel vulnerable and somebody comes along that you didn't expect and you found yourself vulnerable with impulses and you did stray, you have a number of ways of addressing that. You can sit down and ask yourself, what did you learn from it? And is this truly an impulsive, transient stimulus, or is this a potential more fulfilling dynamic? You may not know initially. Most people, when they do that, they try that out and they keep themselves quiet, rule this affair out or in. If it looks like it's going places and they're wanting it as much as you, and it looks like a better package than what you're with, you'll probably store up everything you resented in the person before and download it on your current partner, and for you, so you can justify and get out of that relationship, go on to the next one. If it's not what you thought and it turns out to be a fatal attraction and weeks later it turns out to be a dud, not a stud, then you may backtrack and all of a sudden appreciate what you got. And this relationship in some cases can make you appreciate what you do have and make you realize how unrealistic expectations that were driving you, or the fantasies that you needed to break, or completions of things, or how to more effective communication. In that case, if you learn something from that and you're appreciating your spouse even more, you might take the time and ask yourself, how is that experience a great blessing to you? Because ultimately, if you grow from that experience and learn from it, you may come to a point where how it helped you and helped your spouse. You may find yourself more attentive, and the spouse is now getting more attention and more affection and appreciation. You may find yourself more generous as a compensation, and you may find out that they are getting that benefit. And if you can accumulate how it's transformed your life and made you appreciate your spouse and partner and maybe do more amazing things and they're getting more benefits out of it, as those accumulated benefits occur, you may just appreciate it, learn your lesson, and move on. You may not have to bring anything up. And you just realize you got your lesson and appreciate that that's what you did. That's what it took. Sometimes people are pushy and encouraging a marriage prior to the other person really wanting it. And those people pay a price when that person strays, only to find out they do love the person. And that's sometimes the confirmation that brings them to appreciate love and takes their relationship to another level. I'm not going to say that affairs have to destroy a relationship. Could be one of the best things that ever happened to it. I've certainly seen cases of that. It was the turning point in both their dynamics and their ability to go and learn how to communicate and have realistic expectations and appreciate each other for its uniquenesses, etc., were enhanced. If that's the case, just appreciate yourself. And then if you feel you'd like to bring it up, then write down all the benefits of to them and the benefits to you of doing it and take the consequences. You know, if you've done the action, take the consequences. If they don't understand it and they react and they're not really dedicated to you, they're dedicated to the fantasy of who you were, and they're not able to handle that you were a human being learning, then you may have just been set free from a relationship that would have been a walking on eggshell environment all the time. But if you're mature and they're mature, you may be able to open up and say, I've had this experience and I don't feel comfortable going on without revealing it to you. And I'm taking the risk of you being upset and even leaving me as a result of this. And that's not what I want. I've come to the realization that I deeply love you as a result of this, and I'm glad this happened. I've not appreciated you 100% until this happened, and I now appreciate what I have. And I hope that you understand that and can appreciate what I'm learning from that. And I really do feel like I got a great lesson out of that, and I don't think that's going to be a factor or continued activity or thought again. If you go there and you're humble and you realize you've learned something and you appreciate him more, they may turn around and go, well, let's be thankful for that. I actually had a woman go to another woman that her husband had an affair with and go and thank the woman for that dynamic. That's how mature the woman was, and thanked her for the dynamic. And because it brought her husband home. The things she was hoping for in her husband, she finally got as a result of that. And she realized that the woman didn't win with that guy, and she didn't get the guy. The woman, the wife, got the husband back. So watch out for moral hypocrisies about how it's supposed to be and should be. Everybody's different. Every situation's different. And I don't want to put a blanket statement on it that this is bad or good or right or wrong or any of that stuff. I just say that this is human behavior. It happens, and you grow from it. And if you're more mature and you can handle the dynamic, and you feel that you're willing to embrace whatever the consequences are, you may talk and speak up about it. People don't usually tell everything or the truth about everything unless they perceive there's going to be more outcome of advantage over disadvantage. That's the way it works. That's not the ideal. That's not the so-called moral ideal. That's the reality. So you will probably speak up when you think there's going to be more advantages and disadvantages, and or when you're willing to take the complete consequences of the action and embrace that and let the person know that you really love and appreciate this person. And if it wasn't for this action, I don't think you were getting 100% of me. And by this action, it's now brought me 100% to be with you. Give them a reason why they would be able to endure that experience and keep moving forward. If they do, you'll probably be able to clear your consciousness, open up, free yourself up, find the benefits to you and your spouse, and you may appreciate them more, kids more, your life more. Sometimes these experiences, just like people dating, they go through all kind of different dating experiences. Then there's a formal commitment on the marriage process. But even if they do, it's like a contract and legal. A legal contract is only good as the individuals in it and the actual circumstances to each benefit to each individual. If people are both sustainably fair exchange and there's some sort of win to both of them, it'll continue. If not, the contract will be probably tossed and challenged. The same thing in a marriage. So I don't know if that gives you the answer you hope for, but that's the answer that came out. And I could probably go for hours on that topic, but that'll at least give you something to start with.